Hey everybody, welcome to the middle of nowhere. Today we're going to be talking about an entry-level build for the beginning of 2020. 2019 was a great year for us to basically build computers at affordable prices, as opposed to 2018 where memory and SSD prices were through the roof, and forget about finding a GPU. Unfortunately, I made the mistake of building a new PC in 2018 and I definitely paid for it. The RAM I have now is basically halved, as well as is the SSD. The GPU I got, which was a 1080, was hard as hell to find, but I was able to find one for retail. Now, however, in 2019 and as we approach 2020, prices have come down dramatically, and now is the best time to buy and build a computer. So today I just want to kind of talk about, hypothetically speaking, what you could build for under $450. And the best thing about this build is its upgrade path. Not only do you have a decent CPU to start with, but you can move on to an even more powerful CPU, and you can upgrade the GPU to have a dedicated graphics card for better gaming experience. As it stands now, this machine will serve you as a low setting 1080p gaming rig, as well as any kind of productivity in terms of office work, writing papers, etc., light graphic design work. I wouldn't expect to stream with this machine while playing games, nor would I expect to be able to have quick render times. However, as it is, it's a great starter PC. If it's your first one, or you're just needing to upgrade because yours is so ancient and it can't run any of the modern games, this is the way to go. So for my CPU, I went with the AMD Ryzen 3 3200G. It's a 4-core, 4-thread processor. It doesn't have hyper-threading, but its integrated graphics unit is stronger than the Athlon dual-core 4-thread processor. And at $40 cheaper than the 3400G, which is a 4-core, 8-thread processor, I think it's a good middle ground. If you're wanting to spend that extra money, you can definitely get that 3400G, and the GPU will be a bit stronger. For the motherboard, I went with the Gigabyte Aorus M. It's a micro ATX board. It features a robust power delivery set. It has a nice NVMe heatsink cover, as well as some of the more blingy features such as an ARGB and regular RGB port. It also has some integrated lighting as well. It comes with 4 RAM slots, so that way you'll be able to upgrade to full 4 slots in the future if you want. As far as I/O on the back, it's got HDMI and DVI for video out. It has a plethora of USB 2, USB 3.1 Gen 1, and even some USB 3.1 Gen 2 ports, and integrated Ethernet and some nice audio options. There's no Type-C here, but for the price, $84, I wouldn't expect that to be there. If you want to go even cheaper, there is an MSI board as well that is Ryzen 3000 ready for $10 cheaper. Now, I missed out on a deal for this motherboard actually, and like 2 days ago, it was also $74.99. So keep an eye out on prices, as you never know when little sales are going to happen. For our RAM, I went with a 16 gig 2-stick kit of G.Skill Ripjaws Series 5. It's DDR4 3200 speed, so it's a nice middle ground. As some of you may know, and if you don't know, Ryzen loves fast RAM. You could go cheaper and get DDR4 3000 speed, but I think this is a nice middle ground, and as you can see, the price is $68.99, but when I purchased it, it was actually $6 cheaper at $62.99. So keep an eye out on RAM, as well as the price is fluctuating constantly. So for my storage needs, I went with an SSD for my boot drive. It's 240 gigs, it's a PNY CS900. In this day and age, with SSDs being as cheap as they are, taking advantage of that fast boot time is just a good thing. Plus, it's large enough to put on some frequently used programs, such as the current game you're playing, to take advantage of that speed as well. For mass storage, I did go with a platter drive. As far as I'm concerned, rotating storage is not dead yet. For 2 terabytes at only $50, this is pretty good. This is a pretty good deal. It is the Seagate Barracuda, and I know there are some people who have their hate on for Seagate, but I've been using them for years and have never had an issue. You can always go Western Digital or another company and see what you can get for the similar storage to price ratio, but with Seagate Barracuda and their warranty, I think this is a pretty good deal as well. For the case, I went with a budget-oriented Cougar MX 330G case. This is a tempered side glass case. It is a no frills case, but it looks like it does come with a couple fans. It's perforated front side. It's got two USB 3.1 ports and 2.0 ports, so that's nice and convenient. Now be aware, because this is a budget case, more than likely the PCI slots are going to be one and done slots. You will not be able to screw them in. Instead, they'll just snap off. So I would definitely invest maybe $10 or a little bit less for replaceable PCIe covers. Additionally, don't expect there to be any grommets to kind of wrangle your cables. Let me get a picture here. There you go. So yeah, there's not going to be any grommets, but if you're astute enough, you can search the internet and actually find some replacement grommets if you so desire. However, the fact that there are plenty of holes for your cabling, I think they'll be great. And one of the things that we do get, which you don't see very often in budget-oriented cases, is a PSU shroud. Now at $41, this for budget build, you can even go cheaper. I've seen some $28 cases out there, but just buyer beware. The cheaper you go, the less quality you're going to just have, and less features. Really, it's more features and quality than anything. But you know, to each their own. And then keep price in mind when you're building this thing. Finally, for the power supply, I went with the EVGA Bronze 500 watt 80 plus power supply. Now EVGA is a well-known brand, and I put this price as purchase because earlier in the year I found a lightning deal and this thing was a must-have. $40, 500 watt power supply. That's pretty good. Additionally, there's no ketchup and mustard on the wiring here. They're all black sleeved, which is really cool. So that's something to be aware of. Additionally, when you're looking for a power supply, you might want to think about modularity. Some power supplies have semi-modular, where your 20-pin and 8-pin power connectors are there and then everything else can be added. Some are fully modular, where you can just add whatever cords you need and the rest you can just leave behind. This greatly helps with cord clutter, and for a case that might not have a CPU shroud, or a PSU shroud, excuse me, that's a great benefit. Just keep in mind that once you go into modularity, your power supply will go up in price. Now 500 watts might seem like overkill, but keep in mind this system was meant to be upgraded in the future, and the more powerful CPU or GPU you end up putting into this, and even the additional RAM or more storage, will require more power. So I figure 500 watt would be great for, let's say, if the only thing I'm going to upgrade immediately is the GPU, or maybe put in a AMD Ryzen 3600 CPU. After that, I would probably start upgrading to around the 750 watt range, and definitely go up in the certification from bronze to gold, or even platinum at that point. But again, cost will increase. Now this power supply you can get right now around $40. Yeah, so $49.99, excuse me, so $50. However, you can find a couple of PSUs, maybe a 450 watt PSU, that will hit that $44 to $39 mark. So now that we have our price list, we're sitting at about $406.92. Again, if I cheap out more on the case, I can get this even under $400, and that will take into account the increased cost of the PSU. Again, keep in mind, deals will occur, so prices are always going to be fluctuating. We're hitting another kind of New Year slash I don't know, President's Day sale, whatever. There's sales for everything and every occasion in this country. So just keep an eye out on the price as you are thinking about what parts to get. What would be the first thing to upgrade in this system? For me, it'd probably be a dedicated GPU, and I think one of the perfect complements to this system would possibly be the 1660 Super from NVIDIA. Now, if you go down the list, you can get this card from anywhere from $229 to up to about $279, I think is the highest I saw it. Maybe yep, there it is. Oh, that's a TI. So about $259 is probably the highest this will go, and that's okay. So basically, just do your research on the different kinds of cards and figure out what makes, what warrants that extra $20 to $30, and go from there. Secondly, the CPU is our next upgrade. As I already hinted at, the Ryzen 5 3600, it would be a good choice, and this motherboard could probably handle up to the 37 or 3800 series of CPUs, which is an 8-core 16-thread processor group. Keep in mind that once you get into more power-hungry processors, your motherboard might need to be upgraded as well. And then finally, I think the RAM is the next thing to upgrade. Now you can go two routes on this. Stay at the same capacity of 16 gigs, but go at a higher speed, or you can double the capacity and maybe you want 32 gigs of RAM, and you might even want to add a little bit of bling in there. For that, I was thinking of the G.Skill Trident Z RGB series of RAM. These are good sticks. I have them in my current rig. Just make sure you consult the QVL list to see what is actually compatible with your system. But at $133, you can go to a DDR3600 kit of 16 gigs, or for 154 you can just double the RAM at the same speed of 3200. Now just keep in mind that Ryzen loves fast RAM, as I already mentioned. So 3600 speed is more or less the sweet spot according to AMD. This is a nice little entry-level system. It's great for someone's first build. So what do you think? Let me know what you do differently in terms of parts choosing, and how would you make this either even cheaper, or what would your upgrade path be? I'd love to hear in the comments down below. Well, that's it for Hypothetically Speaking. Thanks for watching, everybody. If you like what you see, hit that like button, subscribe, and always click that notification icon for any future video content. I'm Seth, and I'll see you next time in the middle of nowhere.